In this video, we'll discuss the underlying health issues and lifestyle rhythms to consider when you're seeing changes in your mouth and the hollowing of your features. Enjoy. In today's face reading tutorial, we're going to be talking about earth element deficiency, how to see that on the face, and what areas to look at on the face, what geographies we need to be paying attention to, and then the steps you can take to remediate that. So in recent weeks, I've been doing a series of videos talking about this, talking about how if you see a deficiency in an element on the face, where to look to see that, and then what to do about it. We're kind of completing this little series with the earth element and its relationship to the spleen and stomach and how you can see it on the face. The thing I want you to remember about this is the acute nature of the features showing up. And what I mean by that is earth is characterized by plumpness on the face. The other area, and that's fleshiness, just a kind of a suppleness, a squishiness to the face. It has appropriate yin. There's enough fluid in the tissues. The other place is the mouth. And so the fullness of the mouth, the dominance of the mouth, or the lack of dominance of the mouth, all these things are areas that we want to pay attention to in terms of assessing the earth element. The mouth is the most dominant earth element feature. When we lose fleshiness in the face in an acute way, this is going back to that point I was making, the acute state, when it happens quickly, if the fullness of the mouth loses shape very quickly, the lips become deflated, they were once full and they're now looking considerably thinner in a short amount of time, in an acute phase, that's where you really want to pay attention. Slow shifts and slow lack of earth over the long trajectory of a lifetime is kind of normal. We do lose yin, we do lose some plumpness. So that slow loss of earth is not something to be concerned about. But when it happens fast, someone is 30, 40, 50, and they're usually very plump and full, and all of a sudden things shift, that's where you want to pay attention. So the first thing is paying attention to the mouth. The mouth, if it is dry, excessively dry, pale, or has deep cracks in the lip, or lip size has shrunk. If any of those things show up and it's happening very fast, this is usually a discrepancy or a deficiency or some kind of problem arising in the earth element. It means the stomach and the spleen are struggling in some way, but we want to pay attention to this. Again, dryness, excessive dryness, lots of peeling, pale. The mouth has suddenly gotten pale. There's deep cracks, or the lip size, top or bottom or both, have shrunk. The next one is, as I said earlier, overall fleshiness diminishes. The way you'll see this is the hollowing of the cheeks. A lot of times, what we call the death masks can sometimes show up. The skin will become tighter. It will seem like it's just pulled back on the face more than usual, and it's what I call acute gauntness. The person has just kind of hollowed out. The temples will get hollow, the cheeks will get hollow, they might get hollow under the eyes, like things just feel recessed and hollowed out. That's not good, especially when it happens quickly, and it means the earth element, the digestive system, and our capacity to transform sustenance is having problems. Now, at the emotional level, what you want to pay attention to is anxiety and worry. This is the premier negative element, the negative emotion within the context of the earth element where we see leakage. You want to assess your relationship to worry. Worry is usually a deficiency with our relationship to the future or the past. It's a lack of presence. If you're worrying about things in the past that have already happened and you're stressed out about it, that's no good. And if you're worried about what's going to happen in the future when you have no idea what's actually going to happen, it's a lack of being present now. So work on anxiety. Try to remediate that. And one of the ways you can do that is to focus on the positive side of the earth element emotions, which is contemplation, meditation, and presence. Sitting with your thoughts in a meditative state or just ruminating on your own without attaching to them. That's the big kicker. So when we talk about meditation, a lot of people struggle with that. I don't want to sit down for an hour and meditate because I can't get my mind to be still. I get it. This is why I say microdose meditation. Start with 60 seconds a day. Sit down 60 seconds, focus on a lit candle, focus on the physical sensation of your breathing, focus on a single visual point on a wall, or say a mantra in your mind. It doesn't really matter. As long as you have a single point of focus that you can bring the mind back to, whether it's outside of you and your eyes are open, or it's internal that you're feeling through the body, doesn't matter. The mind is going to drift. When it comes back to the breath or back to the candle flame, that's a successful meditation cycle. Your mind has to drift for meditation to work. So don't think that you have to be completely still and silent for that mechanism to work. It's just the opposite. The tethering of your mind to a single point of focus and allowing it to go off and walk around like a dog on a leash and then return is what makes meditation successful. And if you might do that 10 times in a minute, and then over time you might only do it 5 times, and then maybe your mind only drifts 3 times, and maybe if you're lucky, one day your mind doesn't drift at all. And that's truly kind of, where we get into really high grade meditation. Anyway, outside of that, work on tender, nurturing time with your partner, your romantic partner, or family, and doing things like dinner parties. A big piece of the earth element is our relationship to food and community. So the more you can engage these things and be sweet, tender, and nurturing, find that capacity with either friends or family, this is a very good thing. We'll actually tonify these organs. Now, in terms of lifestyle, you're going to want to work on resistance and strength training. You may have noticed that I've mentioned this metric many times in other videos in relation to other elements, and some lifestyle rhythms will improve and absolutely touch other elements. So a single lifestyle rhythm doesn't always just touch one element. It can touch multiple, and strength training is one that addresses multiple. So the spleen and stomach, the earth element, regulates the 4 limbs. What is code for? The musculature of the body. So you want to strength train. Try to get in there at least 3 days a week. Do something where you are resistance training and challenging the muscles. The next one is to focus on warm, cooked foods rather than cold or raw foods. It's easier on the digestion, so you want to support the spleen and stomach. And then incorporating ginger, which is the premier digestive tonic herb in Chinese medicine. Very important. So try to incorporate ginger tea, grated into your food. I don't really care, but get ginger into the mix. And then lean towards sweet flavors. And I know we live in a world that is anti-carb and low-carb everything and don't touch any kind of sugar. And I don't agree. And that doesn't mean I'm saying go eat bags of processed sugar. But what I'm saying is fruits are brightly colored on trees for a reason. It's the part of the plant that wants to be eaten, not the seeds and the roots, because if those get eaten, the plant can't procreate and reproduce. So sweet flavors, things like honey, quality maple syrup, you don't have to have a lot, but these sweet flavors are said to tonify the spleen and the earth element. And if you go with that idea that the earth element and the spleen and the stomach have these ties to the musculature, a little basic research in science will show you that the muscles in our body use glucose, which means sugars, things like carbohydrates. That's what fuels our muscles. And so to say sweet flavors have a tie to that makes a certain amount of sense for me, at least in the big picture. Now, the other things you can do, consistency of rhythms. Pick one thing. Consistency of eating at the same time, same breakfast time, same lunch time, same dinner time. Maybe it's consistency with when you decide to sit down and meditate for 60 seconds. Consistency with getting up at the same time, going to bed at the same time. Pick one. And when you get that one down, then start doing another. The spleen and the earth element, they love that organ system, that pair. They love consistency of rhythms, regardless of what they are. And the more consistent you are with your rhythms, the more predictable the body gets in terms of how it likes to shift its gears. So really focus on that. Another big piece of the earth element is basically savoring life, food, and experiences. It goes back to that presence piece. If you are not present, the earth element will become deficient. It likes to be settled and anchored. Okay, the earth is the central element that the other 4 elements flank. It's the core central element. The last one is the development of quality friendships, which really builds earth. Find people who root for you. Don't hang around people who talk shit about you or who shoot down your dreams or can only be sarcastic and superficial. You need to find people who can go really deep with you and still tell a dick and fart joke if that's your thing. Cool. I'm like that. I got to have like depth with my conversations with people and also be able to go a little shallow. But you don't want to have one-dimensional friends that can only do one thing and that are not supportive of you and that don't celebrate your wins. If you do that, it's going to support the earth element. And moreover, if you do all of these things, and this is not everything on the list, right? This is a short video. But if you start doing these things, this is where we see the replenishment of the earth element. I've seen people engage these rhythms, and within the course of a few months, their face will get fuller. The cheeks start to come back, the eyes don't look as recessed, the temples will fill. The face collectively just looks like it has more yin, more suppleness, more fluid. And that's what you want. You want to have some level of suppleness to the face. Some of us are more angular and bony than others by default, but even a bony face can still have some quality earth. and you want to focus on that. And if you engage these things, those metrics and that fullness comes back to the face over time. All right, Jill, take care.